This is the Erin Cruz Show. Politics for the people and by the people. With your host, Erin Cruz.
Hello and welcome to the Erin Cruz Show. I am back and this is going to be as exciting as ever. Many of you know that I ran for and still am running for United States Senate. The actual California tally of the vote is not through and I have not conceded. Yes, you heard that correctly. But we'll talk about that in the next segment. This segment is currently going to be on immigration. So many of you have been paying attention. You've seen the news. You've seen what's been on TV. It's horrific. Children locked up in cages in detention centers. It's astounding that that could happen in the United States of America. Well, rewind. The picture, the most popular picture with the two children laying down on their stomachs, is actually of two women. And in fact, it was a photo taken under the Obama administration. That is correct. That photo was taken under the Obama administration. So media will spin anything that they can to work towards an agenda that's most pleasing to them. And as Nielsen reports and tweeting, for those seeking asylum at ports of entry, we have continued the policy from previous administrations and will only separate if the child is in danger. There is no custodial relationship between family members or if the adult has broken a law. That was Nielsen. Well, there you have it, folks. Much of the legislation that's currently in place, the policies, in fact, much of the border legislation around DACA and other things are all based on policy under the Obama administration. And now it gets highly, highly complex as you go back and through. You can look at all of the details. You can look at many, many things. But the one thing that you will have a hard time finding is the media reporting accurately. That is correct, folks. You know, the media have what's called, or how I like to call it, their freedom, the teeth, the liberty teeth, the freedom, the ability to get information, to report, to provide the populace with completely unbiased, factual information so the public is aware and up to date with what's going on, informed. This is not what we're seeing today. Today we're seeing a massive propaganda machine that's using, fear tactics. It's using heartstring pulling. It's using many, many things. In fact, if you want to look at Alinsky tactics, they're using those too. Just overwhelm the system, complete breakdown and chaos. I found it was interesting. There's also another photo going around on the internet as of late, and it's of a poor child crying in a cage. Now, it was said that this child was in a cage at a detention center. In fact, this particular photo is of a child who is attending a Trump protest. You've got that right, a child. And if you want to take a look at the other picture that we have here, you have many children who are attending a Trump protest. Now, I'm not sure what's most frightening, the fact that the media is purporting that these children are actually detained and bloating the system and misleading the populace, or if in fact children are at very, very highly heated Trump, anti-Trump protests. I'll leave that up to you to decide. But when we actually look at the children who are being caught at the border, and it's interesting because these children generally are coming with family members, as it said. The question is, how do we know that they're family members? How do we know that these children are belonging to the people that they're with? In fact, there was one report that was stated that what the Obama administration did, and this is a direct quote, what the Obama administration did, which was a law that requires, which is what the law requires is to find shelter facilities for those kids, which were put together by the Department of Health and Human Services. So the goal was to get the kids out of the Border Patrol into proper care by HHS, and then HHS is supposed to release them to the least restrictive setting, and in more than 80% of the cases, that was their parents who were already in the United States. Can we rewind that for a minute? Into proper care by the HHS, then HHS is supposed to release them to the least restrictive setting. And in more than 80% of the cases, that was their parents who were already in the United States. I would like to know why, if you are legally in the United States of America, why you would not simply apply for immigration for your children. There is a much larger question here, folks, much larger, and the pressure that's currently on our Congress, which is a Republican majority Congress, it needs to be turned up, and it needs to be turned up the other way. Stop allowing media to control the information that's coming into your home that you're using to communicate with the world. You, me, we have the power to communicate and change the minds of man. We have to change the conversation. The pressure should be that we need to answer why it is that children are being sent to parents who are reportedly here, who more than likely couldn't apply for appropriate citizenship because they're illegal. Why those parents then are not taken and deported with their children back to the home country. Ladies and gentlemen, we have laws. We are a land of laws. And I ran on this for my United States Senate campaign. We need to enforce our borders. We need to enforce the law. We need to build the wall. And the biggest thing, the biggest component that's a concern of mine, aside from national security interests, is the human element. Now, those who say and argue that we don't take a human element in context is an absolute lie. It's a talking point, and it's meant to shift and agitate. The truth is this: we care about the human element. We want to reduce human trafficking. We want to reduce the amount of children, young children, brought into the country illegally, many times from farther and farther nations down in the Central America region. That's right, I'll repeat that. Many of them come from the Central American region, Guatemala and El Salvador. Most of those that come as families, okay, most of them are from those regions. They're not Mexicans. They're coming from other nations through Mexico. Yes, Mexico is letting them through, and they're coming here. We need to enforce our laws. There are very few cases where, yes, we really have to take the human rights of these individuals seriously, that to send them back would be inhumane. But in most cases, what we're seeing is basically an abuse of our asylum system. I'll repeat that. In most cases, it seems to be that there is an abuse of our asylum system. Loopholes need to be closed on immigration. It is vital that you and I reach out to our congresspersons immediately to put the pressure on, to enforce our borders, to enforce immigration laws, and put a stop to the abuse of our system. It's vital that we do that today, so please go ahead and contact your congressperson. You can call the front desk. The information is right here on the screen. And get a hold of your congressperson. Let them know that you want tighter borders, to end the national security issues, to close the loopholes on immigration, to end chain migration, to end birthright citizenship, and put a stop to the human trafficking that's flooding through our borders and putting a weight on our economy. The other issue surrounding immigration I'd like to talk to you about, ladies and gentlemen, is the human trafficking element. Those children who are being brought here, if it's thought that if you have a child with you and that you won't get separated and you get placed somewhere in the United States where you can then not go into a hearing or not show up, who's to say you're actually bringing your own child with you? What kind of risk is this posing, ladies and gentlemen, to the children in Mexico, in Central America, and other regions that they wouldn't be kidnapped and brought here and used as pawns for someone selfish to try to break into our country in an illegal fashion, putting those putting those children at risk. We have to take this seriously. In no way, shape, or form is this some place where we disregard the element of human life. But two, you have to understand there are many people who are not good, not kind, not law-abiding. We have to ensure that those individuals know that they will not be welcome here in the United States. Those people who want to enter legally, come here legally, apply for the process, and come here and be a productive member of a lawful society will be welcomed in an orderly fashion. There are many people throughout the globe who want to come here, who want opportunity, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. There are many individuals from India, from China even, who want to live the American dream. The American dream will be no more if we continue to allow people to come in and be here in an unlawful way. Many of those individuals from other countries have been waiting on lists for 5, 7, some even 10 years. And here yet, Congress wants to allow those people who are currently here illegally to get amnesty. We're going to talk about amnesty that's trying to be pushed in the Congress currently. This has to stop. We have a Republican Congress. There's no reason why we should even be talking about amnesty. Ronald Reagan passed amnesty with his congressional leaders. He did. He passed it on the idea that other legislation would come through and close loopholes. That never happened. The leak kept on. It's time that we go ahead with Donald Trump and we put an end to the bleeding that is the immigration system into the United States in a way that's unlawful, not right, and not supporting the ideas and ideals of America itself. We have a responsibility as a citizenry to take action. I'm not sure about you, but in my life, I've taken several oaths to uphold the Constitution. One of those elements in the oath is to protect her, to protect the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. There are many individuals on our soil right now who are what I would construe, and many would construe, as literally enemies. They're going against what the United States Constitution is, what it stands for, what the Declaration of Independence is, and how it came to be. We have to get back to the basics. Amnesty must never go through. It must never be an option for those people who came here knowingly, illegally. For the DACA recipients, the DACA policy that was placed under Barack Obama, there has to be a solution, one which is equitable for the United States of America and puts citizens first. Really, the solution is simple. Build the wall. End chain migration and birthright citizenship. Close the loopholes. There are many of them. We need to refine the policies surrounding those who seek asylum. Mexico is not at war. Neither is Central America. We need to refine those policies to ensure that those people who come here and are seeking asylum, only those who are in most dire need and who are really and actually in a space where that applies, receive that assistance. Right now we have homelessness on record levels. You've seen LA. I've shown you the streets of LA. I've shown you the tent cities. I've shown you the homeless, the mentally ill walking around the streets just befuddled and out of their mind and out of their space. We have veterans who are indeed homeless in tent cities. I've shown you the homeless, the mentally ill walking around the streets just befuddled and out of their mind and out of their space. We have veterans who are indeed homeless, and also veterans that just, they need help, they need support. We need to put America first. We need to put citizens first. Only then will we be able to be and continue to be the beacon of the free world and a light to all of the nations of the globe. Thank you for joining me in our first segment of the Erin Cruz Show, where we talk about immigration. If you have questions, if you have comments, make sure you write below. We're going to go on to a quick break, and we will return for our segment on Patriot Connection. Thank you. Tent cities, I've shown you the homeless, the mentally ill, walking around the streets, just befuddled and out of their mind and out of their space. We have veterans who are indeed homeless, and also veterans that just, they need help, they need support. We need to put America first. We need to put citizens first. Only then will we be able to be and continue to be the beacon of the free world and a light to all of the nations of the globe. Thank you for joining me in our first segment of the Erin Cruz Show, where we talk about immigration. If you have questions, if you have comments, make sure you write below. We're going to go on to a quick break, and we will return for our segment on Patriot Connection. Thank you. On our Patriot Connection segment of the show. Now, every week, I want to go ahead and bring on patriots who are making an impact across the nation. And in particular, this special patriot made an impact here in California during the primary elections period. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Robin Gates. And I'm going to have him tell you a little bit about himself. He's pretty much the most awesome trucker that I know. He is a veteran. He served. So let me go ahead and introduce him. Robin, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing fine, Erin. How are you doing today?
Pretty good, pretty good. So thank you for coming on the show. Tell us about, your patriotism, your service in the military. What's your background, Robin?
Well, I grew up in the hills of Pennsylvania. A large country family.
Oh, wow.
I went into the military when I was 20 years old. I had no intention of staying in the military.
Wow.
At the time that I enlisted in the infantry, and I took my basic training at Fort Polk, Louisiana.
Wow.
So the whole time I was in the military, I was infantry, and I ended up staying for 20 years.
Wow. So you made a strong career out of your service in helping and serving our nation. That's pretty amazing. So now you have children, right?
Yes, I have two daughters. Both of their husbands are military.
Oh,
One's
wow.
a career military, and the other one served in Afghanistan.
Oh, wow.
And he has PTSD.
Oh, wow. Wow. Now, also, you do something really quite interesting now for a living, don't you, Robin? I know you're one of my heroes on the road, so to speak. I know you served in the military, but now you're serving us in another way, a very key component here in the United States. You're a trucker, right?
Yes, I am. I'm a long haul truck driver, and I've been doing that for the past 18 years. I took a short break, and I was a defense contractor for 5 years supporting the military.
Oh, wow. So you're really committed to this nation and future generations. Now, I think I recall, you helped me on my campaign for United States Senate. You did a dynamic role as one of our social media experts, and uh, but over that period of time, I got to know you really quite well, and you explained to me something interesting about California. I have a heart for Californians. I have a heart for the men on the road out here that do delivery and truck driving and what have you. I mean, they're the blood, sweat, and tears of how we get everything that we have in our homes every day, really. But you mentioned something interesting about the struggle for truck drivers who want to work in California but maybe just choose not to. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, California basically has three main jobs that encompasses the state. Number one is, the first main job is Silicon Valley, and the electronics field is all based out of California, more or less.
Right.
Number two is trucking. Trucking's your second largest industry in California.
Right.
And number three is the film industry.
Right.
Now, a lot of people doesn't realize it, but trucking alone employs over 875,000 people.
Right.
In California. And
that means it feeds California. And I mean, aside from the fact that the employing that many individuals, I mean, those are families supported, not only just by the jobs, but also, with what truckers actually do. Can you tell us a little bit about, what happens for a truck driver and what they, what their role is in the economy? Because I don't think people really realize when they're passing truck drivers on the road what that person's playing in the role in terms of, how we live every day.
Well, everything that comes into your supermarkets and everything is brought in by truck.
Right.
Us truckers out here on the road, we have a saying, I haven't seen a train pull up to Walmart yet.
I love that. A train hasn't pulled up to Walmart yet. It's true, right? Because between the maritime industry and the trains, coming from the coast, there's only so much they can do, right?
Exactly. And then with California, you got your ports out there. Right. That's your other major industry. You got the longshoremen, you got the ports, you got all your truck stops that base everything off the truckers. You got your local economy that feed off of the truckers.
Right.
So the truckers are a valuable part of the economy in California.
Right, and California hasn't made it too nice. I hear you don't come to California anymore to work. Right?
No.
Because of the regulations. Is that what I'm understanding? A lot of truckers don't come here anymore because they make it prohibitive.
Yes. When I used to truck into California, I would stop at the Nevada border or Arizona border. I would buy everything that I need. So this way I didn't have to buy anything in California. I would fuel up what fuel I needed.
Right.
This way I wouldn't have to pay the high cost or the sales tax, and I try and keep my costs down to a minimum.
Right. All that overhead, it adds up. Now, but on the trucker side of it, they also make it difficult here in California. My understanding is there are pretty tight regulations around the trucks themselves that make it difficult for somebody who's an owner-operator to keep up with all the regulations and policies, and it just drives up costs even more and makes it more and more difficult to operate here. Is that true?
Yes. Right now, the current fuel prices in California are $4 a gallon.
Right.
Now,
Yeah, I think it's rain. Yeah.
Increase
Right.
that took place in March.
Right.
Now, if people think about this, $4 a gallon, California never seen $4 a gallon until after the '08 economy collapsed.
Right. Right.
All right, so now here you are, you're at $4 a gallon already, and this is 10 years later, and you're still at $4. This is backdoor taxing.
Right.
Another form, and not to, and you have to include, all your other taxes that have been raised in between.
Right.
So now, you look at the trucking aspect of it. Somebody has to pay for the fuel. So
right.
if the fuel's at $4 a gallon again, it's going to come back to the consumer. So the consumer's going to end up losing some more. On top of already the taxes that they have increased on you.
Right, right. And I mean, that's just talking about the fuel and some of those other taxes. I mean, you mentioned something about, and I think this might have been in a conversation at some point, when I was concerned about emissions, all of the regulations around emissions. There are also regulations that these owner-operators, the big truck companies, okay, sure, people think that, well, these people, they make enough, they can cover those kinds of regulations and costs, but a lot of the industry is filled with owner, operators, and to try to keep up with all those standards and, whatever regulations need to be met. I mean, you mentioned that was a struggle too, right?
Right, because you got CARB in California, the California Air Resource Board.
Right.
And they put all these stipulations onto all these engines and regulations and everything, and I can't remember the exact date.
Right.
But California had set a law about there was a sticker that had to be put on the engines, and that 90 vehicles or pre-2000 vehicles had to meet certain emissions within the state at that time. They were going after the port workers and all the trucks that were coming out of the ports.
Right.
And they were hitting them. An owner-operator has to keep his costs to a minimum.
Right.
But with California, they were jacking the regulations up so high that now California has gone to the extreme of going after brokers outside of the state.
Wow.
Because the carriers that are coming into the state that the brokers hired are not meeting California standards.
Right. So it creates a little bit of a problem. Now, you said something really interesting there about how, the emissions, it's the year of the vehicle and different regulations placed, and then you might have to do some modifications and meet certain standards. Now, it sounds to me like people could operate their vehicles and do so in a way that's responsible within, certain parameters. It's more that the government somehow is making money off of this, and they're doing it through control, right? So who benefits from those types of regulations? Service shops? What kind of industries might benefit from those kinds of strict regulations? Does it kind of shut the small guy out and they only want the big guys to operate? I mean, what do you think the angle is there?
Yes, now, you touched on it right there. All right? This is all total to take out the owner-operator, the independent truck driver.
Right,
okay?
right.
The guy who only has anywhere from 1 to maybe 500 trucks. Everybody thinks 500 trucks is a lot of trucks.
No.
That is not.
Right.
That's small business.
Okay.
In the trucking industry.
So now,
who's going to make the money off of all this is going to be your state because of the fees and the work controls and that, the shops that are ran by the state or monitored by the state. The shop owners only make a very small percentage
Right.
of their inspections. The rest goes to the state.
Oh, interesting.
This is all nothing more than generating more revenue for the state.
So could you safely say, with, outside of maybe what emissions might come out of your truck if maybe the regulations were a little bit looser, could you safely say, though, that wouldn't be as much of a problem? It's more just about control, maybe wanting to turn over the vehicles, not allow people to have certain types of vehicles in operation, and kind of keep that truck purchasing portion up, keep the government jobs going, office jobs, monitoring all of these different regulations, and also the compliance side of it. I mean, do you think it's a combination then? Because it doesn't sound like the service industry makes too much money off of, maintaining the trucks as much as maybe there might be another angle on it.
Right. Now, you have to think of it this way. All right, California put additional regulations on top of regulations on
Right.
top of regulations.
Right. They love to do that, Robin. They love to overburden and control.
Right. Because all your trucks that are coming out and everything still have to meet the federal guidelines.
Right. So you're operating underneath two umbrellas, really.
Yes.
One of which is more aggressive than the other, and the more aggressive of the two would be California, correct?
Correct.
Right.
And all that California is doing is actually stifling the economy,
Right.
and also the truckers, because of the fact of the additional cost.
Right. So really what it comes down to is there are already federal guidelines in place, which are pretty stringent, right? I mean, they're not super loose. Plus you have other states who have regulations that, as it seems to be, that California is one of the toughest, right? In terms of regulating. That they've gone one step further just to make it more difficult for owner-operators, small business owners, basically, to live make a moderate income to support a family, and also in that process, which is the most interesting part, is they're impacting the economy in a negative way. So you have the federal guidelines, you have the state guidelines, and then other states have regulations, and California seems to be the worst. But what California is doing is it's not necessarily doing this, to help our economy. It's actually hurting our economy, right? So they're stifling commerce is really what they're doing in the name of some sort of environmental angle.
It's not really the environment first. They're putting the money first.
Right. In the name of environment, right?
Exactly.
Right.
And just like when they shut off the water to the San Joaquin Valley, that put over, I think it was over 80,000 people out of jobs in the San Joaquin, to include mom and pop shops, farmers, ranchers that were there for decades. And they said it was all in order to save a little smelt fish that was getting caught in the irrigation pumps. Well, this all had the effect on trucking too, because trucking and agriculture go hand in hand.
Right. It all ties in together. In the name of the environment, really what it is control.
Exactly. That's all it comes down to, control.
Right.
They overregulate, and they hog tie and hamstring the people to where, you don't have much of a choice. They put the regulations in without a vote. They set up these boards, or like a carb resource board and the air resource board, and they regulate everything that comes down to you.
Right.
What it comes down to is overall is money out of your pocket.
Now, I mean, when you, as an owner-operator, or a small business owner, basically, who's providing for his family, when you look at this and how California, doing a load to California can help or hurt you, I mean, you have to look at the bottom line, and you have to make a decision and a choice. You're not alone. you're not just the only guy who said going into California just isn't worth it for my business and for my family, really. And what I would like to see is drain the Sacramento swamp and get back to common sense policy and reforms that, make sense for the people of California. Because when it comes down to it, Robin, this issue of California and the truckers and the regulations surrounding the trucking industry, it doesn't just affect Californians. It affects the entire United States, because a great deal of trade comes from our ports, comes from California, and a great deal of that comes via trucker to other states, correct? So, it would be in the interest of the United States to really, put some focus on this and, channel energy there to get back on track.
Most definitely. You take the San Joaquin Valley, for instance. I was doing research when I was doing research for your election and that. I came across a piece that just totally astounded me. I knew the San Joaquin was big.
Yes,
I did not know that the San Joaquin made up 1% of the United States' farmland.
Yes, it's very large.
And on top of that, the San Joaquin, when they shut off the water and all those ranches and farms and everything closed down and orchards and that, it went from 25% of the produce in the United States was coming out of California. Well, that dropped to 12% because of NAFTA.
Right.
And see, you have to look at, all right, if they shut the water off and the farms collapsed, was that maybe part of NAFTA?
Well, it really is, I think, a chain reaction. And I think the United States, the people in other states, they wonder why, they have maybe increased costs, maybe higher than anything that might be happening within their border as a state. Well, the reality is this, is California provides a lot to the rest of the country in terms of not even just agriculture, regular products that come in as well. I mean, a lot of it does go by train, mind you, but a lot of it goes by truck. And you mentioned something interesting about the San Joaquin Valley and the truckers and the agricultural industry. I'm going to tell you, I drove through that region a dozen times, more than a dozen times during the campaign, and there are trucker upon trucker upon trucker. I mean, as far as the eyes can see, there are trucks in transport, and it just, that industry really is making an impact, and especially with the fuel costs, I could see that the costs across the United States are going to rise dramatically, probably a great deal of it, as a result of transportation and trucking. So, what do you think about that, Robin? I mean, in terms of product going out.
Well, Erin, it comes down to, if you take the 20-cent increase, there's over 600,000 diesel-powered vehicles in California, and you take 20 cents and multiply times that 600,000. Only one other state beats California in trucking. That's Texas.
God bless Texas.
God bless Texas. Yes,
yes.
ma'am. But you turn around, you multiply that, you see what they're after when they start hitting that.
Right.
So it's all about revenue. It's all, where's that money going? Where's it going for the infrastructure? Right. California's rated the fourth in the nation for as far as infrastructure failure.
Right, failure of infrastructure. And by the way, Iowa is #1 in infrastructure, and their gas prices aren't even close to ours here in California. And it's astounding. What are they doing with all of that money up there in Sacramento? That's the biggest question of all. And for me, a Californian, and you, for somebody who doesn't live here, and I'm sure you would love to do work here if it were beneficial to you. But for me, I just have to think everything impacts my way of life. If it costs more to deliver products, produce, meats, what have you, those costs are going to go up because of what you're, blowing out the tail end of your your truck, right? And because
everything that's coming out of California, it's coming by rail or truck, but
right.
the majority, rail hauls a lot.
Right, it does.
But
it does.
Still, though, once it comes out of California, it comes east, the cost is going to rise substantially for everybody else.
Right.
It's nothing more than a domino effect.
Right, and the consumer is the one who's really feeling the bent on that. I just think it would be really wonderful if we had patriots, not politicians in office, who really understood the daily impact that these issues make. Like what you do, your efforts to deliver products to the United States, to various areas. I mean, how can we make commerce great again? Can we make commerce great again here in California? I mean, can we make California golden again by making commerce great again? I mean, I just would like to see people saying, yeah, I'd love to pick up that job, going to California, or coming out of California, and not be like, oh, California, no, I don't go there. That was, you're not the only trucker that I had spoke to who said that. Oh, California, and the hairs on the back of the neck go up. And I really would like to see that change, because it does. It impacts every family home here in California, and it also impacts every home basically across the nation in some form. And because when California isn't operating smoothly, be it trucks or otherwise, the nation feels it. The nation feels it. So now, Robin, we've talked a little bit about your service, your family. We've talked about trucking. It was mentioned that you helped work on the Erin Cruz for U.S. Senate campaign, which we're not giving up on that. The final count is not through. But, what is next for you? I hear on a personal level, I hear you now have turkeys. Is this true?
That I have what?
Turkeys.
Yes, I have turkeys.
You have
I have
turkeys.
5 turkeys at home, and right now I have close to 16 chickens.
No. Wow. Well, you know what? I think of you as an all-American man, a patriot. I know you said you're a redneck. There is no shame in that. But I admire you, the work that you've done, your service to the country, and I would love to have you on another show. Would you like to come on again and speak to the people?
Oh, sure. I'm available anytime you want me.
Wonderful. Now, I have one more question for you.
What's that?
I would like to know what the top 3 concerns are that you have for the United States of America and California.
For the United States and California?
Yes.
Stop illegal voting.
Mm-hmm.
Secure the borders.
Mm-hmm.
And the economy.
Yes.
Jobs.
Yes. Exactly. Let government get out of the way of jobs and commerce, right?
Yes.
Right. And
yes.
and allow America to...
regulation.
Yes.
And open it up a little bit more across the border.
Right. Across the border of... could you explain that?
As far as securing the border.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Build the wall.
Yes. Build the wall. You want to build the wall? You're for building the wall?
I want to build a wall. Build the damn wall.
Well, you heard it from Robin. He's definitely a patriot. He loves his great nation, and he sees voter fraud, illegals voting as an issue, border security as an issue, and the economy, jobs, less regulation. I can't say that I disagree with you, Robin. And I want to thank you again so much for having you on the show, and God bless you. God bless your family. Thank you again for your service.
And God bless you, Erin. We need more patriots like you running for office.
Oh, thank you, Robin. Take care. Hello, everyone. My name is Erin Cruz, and this is the Erin Cruz Show. We're back. So this is probably the most difficult topic to talk about. It gets people worked up. Californians in particular are really in a space of wanting some accountability as it relates to, I don't know if you can guess, but I can tell you, the elections. The elections in 2018 in the primary were just really difficult for people to understand. You know, year after year after year, the media tends to, hype everything up. It draws it out, and then when it hits election night, everybody is eager to see what the results are, and then the polls close, and then within minutes, somebody calls the election. Well, folks, in general, those called elections are pretty accurate in a sense. Only in this case, for this particular year, 2018, in the primary election, we experienced something that I in my lifetime have not experienced previously. This year, there was an influx of situations where massive amounts of people, and for example, in LA County, they faced over 100,000 people dropped from the voter rolls. That's right, over 100,000 people dropped from the voter rolls. Now, there are many different reasons why they're saying these glitches or these things happened, okay? But one thing is for certain, the public deserves to know that their vote is accurate and that it is counted, that it is accounted for. And when, I see, here's the thing. I was running for U.S. Senate. I still am running for U.S. Senate. The vote is not finalized with the Secretary of State yet. There are 58 counties to finalize and submit to the Secretary of State. But as I'm running for U.S. Senate, okay, and I'm watching, I'm eager, I'm sitting there, election night, downtown San Diego at the U.S. Grand Hotel. I'm receiving text message after text message, phone calls, direct messages, private messages, instant messages off of Twitter, you name it, with people in LA and all over the state that are frustrated because their name wasn't up. They went to the ballot, into the polls. They went to cast their vote, and their name was nowhere to be found. They thought, well, maybe I changed from vote by mail but most of them knew exactly how they were registered. Well, a lot of those individuals ended up having to vote provisionally. And if anybody out there is wondering how the votes are processed and how they're looked at, well, the voter night, where everybody goes into the polls and they cast their vote, those are accounted for, yes? But the people who submit a provisional ballot, for example, the individuals who came in to cast their votes in LA and were not on the voter rolls, they had to get what was called a provisional ballot. And they basically had to sign an affidavit stating that they did not vote by mail or by any other means. Well, those votes have to be counted and accounted for against the current what's on file. So the processing system for this is to account for all of the votes done at the polls. Then to get the vote by mail, they have to scan the vote by mails. And then what they do is they upload all of the information. This is very simply put. You can go online and read about it at the Secretary of State or at your local county registrar and find out exactly what every step is that the voter's ballot goes through once it's received. But basically, they scan in the mail-in ballots, and then what happens is they take those provisional ballots and they make sure that you did not do a mail-in ballot. They make sure that you did not vote in any other way. But those votes are essentially counted as one of the last votes. So what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing right now for people who have voted for me, I don't want to get involved in between, but at least I want to give you the information so you can take part in your own voting process. But what I'm hearing from people who are concerned that their vote for me didn't count is I'm hearing that even still yet in their county, their votes haven't been processed. Now, again, I mentioned that in many of the counties, there's 58 counties, they all have to report to the Secretary of State in July, early July. I think it's July 5th. You can go on the Secretary of State's website for the state of California, and they will confirm on the website. But basically, what I'm hearing is that these individuals haven't had their votes counted, that their votes have not registered yet. People are concerned. People are concerned that the process isn't solid, that with all the names dropped off the voter registrar, that there's a problem. Your concern is my concern. And so far as I'm concerned, as a voter, my vote matters. Your vote matters. Our voice matters. This is the United States of America. We have to ensure our voter rolls are secure. Now, the other issue that's concerning people is the fact that illegal aliens and other individuals can now get driver's license. In the driver's license process, they can also register to vote. The concern of the voter is, what if my vote isn't counted? And what if somebody who shouldn't be voting, what if their vote is counted? What if their name was on the voter registrar, but on the poll, and the voter registrar at the polls? Or, what if mine wasn't? Then what? Where's the integrity there? Where is the solidity of knowing that you, as a voter, matter? Okay? And I'm going to tell you, this is a space that's so vital to the future of our nation. With those driver's licenses and people able to register to vote who more than likely may or may not be eligible. We hear that 1 million illegals were given driver's license. How many of those individuals were also given the ability to illegally vote or put in the system to do so? What was the disconnect there? I would like to say that we should see an investigation happen. Now, one of the only ways to ensure that we have an integrity in our voting system is to be a part of that process. I know many people who signed up to be poll workers, poll watchers, and then I also know some people who decided to get involved with a national, local, it's really kind of local to the state of California, but I believe it's national organization. It's a nonprofit. Democrats and Republicans alike can reach out to this organization. They're being a part of the process. They're being the voice of the people. And how are they doing that? They're doing that by including you. You play an active role in the process. And I believe that that is the best way for us to make sure that our vote is secure. Now, those individuals who decided to sign up to be poll workers then also decided to be a part of what's called the Election Integrity Project. Those people who became a part of that project basically logged information to provide to different organizations that would help ensure the integrity of the American citizen Californians' vote. I would like to see that this current vote in 2018 for the primary election, I would like to see that the voter rolls are audited. The citizens are so upset. They're so upset that their vote didn't matter. Their name was not on the list. They know that they only vote in person, yet they had to vote provisionally. So what I would like to do is I would like to preemptively, before November comes, right now in June, I would like to ask you to get involved in the Election Integrity Project. Be a part of the solution for November, okay? Let's start this early. You can volunteer a lot or you can volunteer a little at the polls. It's up to you, the role you want to play in that, but get involved. Go to their website, find out more information on that process. They're working with several different organizations. One of them is the ACLJ. And the only way to shake things up and to get things back on track and to really know what's happening in the process is to be a part of it. We are the problem or we are part of the solution. There's no in between. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the information to the Voter Integrity Project. And please, I would like for you to reach out to them. You can go to their website. I believe it's electionintegrityproject.com, not .org, .com, and find more information out. They have a form. If you experience something that you need to report to your local registrar's office and also to the Secretary of State, that's great. Please do so. That's your responsibility. They're supposed to assist you. But also reach out to the Election Integrity Project. On their website, they have a form you can fill out. Fill it out. Take the time. Make a statement. And let them know what happened to you. Unless we are all part of the solution, the problems are going to still keep happening. So be the option, be the choice, be the person that takes action and make that impact. There's also a phone number on the screen. You can get a hold of them. And Linda, she's very helpful. She's nice. She's a wealth of information. Go online and find out the information, then call her if you need. But I want to urge you. Also, please call your congressional representative and your United States Senator in the state of California. You have 2 Democrats. They don't seem to have a big problem at all with the fact that what happened here in the primary. I'm going to still encourage you to call them and tell them that you demand answers, that your voice matters, okay? But also call your representative and let them know that we are experiencing a situation here in the state of California where we need to make sure that there's an integrity of the vote. The election is going to be coming up for 2020 and not that long. It's, 2 years away for Donald Trump to get reelected into office. Well, we have to make this happen, guys. But one of the easiest ways for us to keep losing in California is if the voter rolls are inaccurate. You can look at the numbers on the registered voters, and Democrats heavily outweigh Republicans. But I'll tell you, there are a lot of no party preference voters as well, and moderate or centrist Democrats, as well as Republicans and a lot of no party preference, are fed up. So I believe we can win in 2020 for Donald J. Trump to become president again. Whether or not that California will receive that vote, if 1 million or more illegals actually are on those voter rolls, that remains to be heard. So please make sure you get in touch with the Election Integrity Project. I can't say it enough times. Last of all, it's important to communicate that there is a huge push for those who are here who do not speak English. Not that anybody who speaks Spanish is not a legal citizen. It's more that there's been a huge push, more than anything that I've seen on the side of the freeways, to encourage the non-English speaker to vote. Please remind those you know, and I'm no PC, okay? I'm just going to say it right out loud. Please remind those you know who are Hispanic, who are, Latinos. Please remind them that Hispanic values are family values. Family values are Republican values. And that we have to get involved if we want to save the state of our Republic of California, Republic of the United States of America, and urge them to become a part of the process. Because I know that there are a lot of people who are coming here who are Spanish speakers that these billboards are speaking to. They say vota, right? So they're speaking to the people who they're bringing here and promising them amnesty. Yes, there's been a big push for at least 5 months that I know of, that I can see on the sides of the roads. Constant billboards So we can turn that around for those who are legal here, who are Spanish speakers here, who want to vote and are legally able to vote. We need to communicate the message of the Republican Party. Republican Party are for family values. Yes? So I just wanted to make that heard because it's so important that sometimes the message is lost. And, it's not that we don't want Hispanics or people, of Hispanic descent here in the United States. We want legal immigration. We want people to be a part of our process, part of our republic, and an active part at that, and to be knowledgeable. There is, I think, an understanding that there's kind of a divide that the Democrat Party is trying to wedge, and that is that, this whole entire group of people are not welcome here, and that's not true. The people who are here legally, they are here for a reason, and they want to secure their freedoms for future generations, and I think we need to communicate the right message to them. Yes? So with that, I would like to go ahead and leave you. Just make sure you get involved. Make sure you go up to the websites that I've given you. Make sure that you go to whitehouse.gov. You can find your representative's phone number there. You can surely tweet them. Share this information. Share this video on Facebook. Share this video on Twitter. Get out the vote. Get out the information that's needed to make sure that we have an impact. Make sure that we have a voice. People need to be held accountable. So that's going to be it for tonight's show. I want to, thank everybody for getting involved over the primaries, and I want to thank everybody for becoming part of the solution here in the state of California and in our republic. Please join us next week for the Erin Cruz Show, where we are going to have live guests, a couple of them, and they'll be a surprise, but I'm going to tell you, it's going to be a wealth of information. We are going to use this show, use this platform with Patriot Connection, with Candidate Connection, you name it. We're going to use this platform to transform California and get it to the space where we make California golden again. God bless you, God bless California, and God bless the United States of America.
To hear more and to learn more on how you can make an impact or about the Erin Cruz Show, visit us online at erincruz.com. That's ERINCRUZ.com. Thank you for joining us, and see you at the same time and the same place next week.